Right, Glynard. Shadow, walk with me. Glynard is overjoyed to welcome the conquering hero's return. That'll be us. Well, if it isn't the greatest hunter herself. The great hunter. Sorry, getting ahead of myself there. The great hunter herself. Huh? As if you don't know. All 4 of the cardinal virtues laid low, all with your help. You're the talk of the stairs, Demajen. When the night returned to Lakeland, we knew in our hearts that change was on the horizon. Never did I dare hope that you might help rid us of those terrible fiends. You surpassed my wildest expectations. Not mine, Glynard. When I first laid eyes on her, I had an inkling that she was the hero we'd been waiting to come along. Easy to claim after the fact. Yes, it was her that gave us the initial. If you'd indulge me, though, I'd love to hear you tell how it all played out. The hunting of the virtues, that is. Go on, then. My word. There's so much more to it than I realised. And there I thought you'd only had to track down the bloody things. Gods, though. The things you learned about the Warriors of Light. So many secrets and details lost over time. And for all the hard work and sacrifice they somehow brought about the flood. Can't say I understand it at all, but it's a bloody tragedy it is. We should gather the others and toast their memories. Heroes of Eld, brave and true, to be remembered forevermore. Now, I'll thank you not to let your bleeding heart drive you to offer up a fortnight's stock of spirits. Attend to your other customers and let me speak with the hero of here and now. Whatever would I do without your good sense and wisdom? Very well. I'll leave you to entertain her, but don't think we won't be having that drink someday. It's not even occurred to me that it's been 100 years. So if that is the same person, she's really old. I mean, she is an elf. Let's find out. Demajen, I must thank you for sharing with us such incredible tales. It is only right that I repay you in kind. Oh? With the ending, that is, with the story of the true villain who towers above the virtues, the devil more deserving of death than any that yet lingers in this world. If your curiosity has been piqued, then meet with me atop the balcony overlooking the crystalline mean. I'll be waiting there until you do. The villain. The villain that keeps on getting mentioned is the Shadow Keeper. So it's not her. Maybe it is her, not necessarily, not that she's the Shadow Keeper, but that she knows something about the story. Right. Siela, what revelations are you going to have for us? You came, as I knew you would. Never met a mystery you could leave well enough alone, or a demon that you could let live. Am I right? And this demon is undeniably deserving of death, make no mistake. To cut them down would be just and proper, the act of a goodly person. And that is just what you are. I can see that. She's talking about herself, isn't she? She survived, and she doesn't think that she should. No need to grow impatient or be offended, my friend. But before you pass judgment on this villain, you need first understand their part in everything. Who they were to the fallen warriors of light, for instance. Of course, right about now, you must be wondering how I know what I know. What a tavern wench of all people has got to do with any of this. Let me tell you then. I am the one who brought together the virtue hunters. I am the one who marked you all who marked you as a potential ally to them and bade you join them in their quests. I alone knew what had to be done and what sort of sinner would be needed to see this tale of tragedy and betrayal brought to an end. But come, we have many miles ahead of us. To Calusia and the Codger's Crook. I will go on ahead and wait for you there. I was expecting just a little bit of dialogue. Apparently there was more to it than that. You are accustomed to life on the road, I see. As am I. Do you recognise this place? I thought you might. Here is where it began, where Ardbert first met Lammitz. Yeah, she was. It is her. She was there. Still young and lacking in experience, but possessed of so much potential. Heroes in the making. Even then the keen-eyed could see. They'd only fulfil that promise much later, though, after joining with their other dear companions, Brandon and Renderay. And one other, an elven woman, not half bad with a sword. Ah, but perhaps you are already asking the question, who? There were 5 warriors of light in all, but she would make 6. Indeed, after adding in Nielber, there does seem to be one too many. But believe me when I say there was indeed a 6th adventurer lost to history, and her name was Silver. So not the same name, but if it's been 100 years, she could have changed it. Or maybe it's her daughter. Though I doubt I need convince you of this truth. When you walked in the Virtue's memories, you saw her time and time again, did you not? Then you saw the true villain, the traitor responsible for all their woes. Let us continue the story elsewhere, to Amarang and the Fields of Amber. They are building this up. And to me, it seems like it's going to be an obvious conclusion that it's her. If it's not, I'll be quite surprised. But the issue is, if that's the case, then it is a little bit too obvious. We're doing a little tour of the realms here. You saw the true villain's face in their memories, and I told you her name is Calusia. But what were her crimes, you ask? Hearken to my tale and you will learn. Silver joined the others before they first met Nilbear. After their party of 5 came to this place, they took on a commission to slay a powerful beast that had taken up residence in the mines. Yeah, the said beast was believed to be the instigator of ever more terrible tremors, and so time was of the essence. But during their hurried search, they crossed paths with their future companion, then a competitor, aiming to usurp their prize. After another tremor triggered by the beast trapped them all underground, they had no choice but to work together to lay it low. But to their dismay, even after its death, the earth continued to shudder violently. Yeah, so this is the magical DPS story that we did. As the adventurers looked to each other in confusion, Neilbear strode toward the beast's body and grabbed hold of a curious stone, a stone brimming with untold ether that he had sought out that he might harness its potential to rescue a loved one lost to the rift. So powerful was the stone that it warped the flow of the life stream. Its very existence was a threat. And so, when faced with a choice between one life and countless others, Neilbear wept and shattered the stone. Interesting that it mentions the life stream there, because it didn't actually mention the life stream, I don't think, in Neilbear's story. And not really many people know of it. He had held his comrade's salvation in his hand and cast it aside for the greater good. For his sacrifice he was judged a hero, and in that instant a warrior of light was born. In life, Neilbear was a pragmatic figure whose wisdom and sagacity were admired by all. Little wonder that in death he'd retain his virtue. But as Neilbear mourned the friend he forever lost, the betrayer Silver looked on in silent contentment, for they had taken the first step on their path toward becoming heroes brave and true. His sacrifice had sparked the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come. What ritual, you may wonder? Fear not, all will become clear in time. Come with me to Rak'Tika, to the city of swamps. We must retrace the steps as they were taken to understand the depth of her treachery. Okay. So we're doing a little tour. This place too is familiar to you, you know, from days recent and long since past. After the events in Amarang, Ardbert and his comrades grew in fame, spurring others to entreat their aid. The adventurers sought out greater and greater challenges, and in pursuit of another, they came to Rak'Tika. While here, the hunter Render Ray learned that the notorious mark Balam Quits was near, and so, under cover of darkness, she slipped away from the others to slay the beast by herself. Like Neilbear before, of course, you already know what her motive was. Balam Quits had robbed her of her fellow hunters. Only vengeance would redress the balance. Moreover, she did not dare risk the lives of her new comrades, so terrified was she of the mere possibility that she might have to relive that terrible day, and so she faced Balam Quits alone, and would have surely died for it, had Ardbert and the others not arrived in time to help. Like Neilbear before, of course, you already know what happened next. For her love, her conviction, and her resolve was she chosen by Hydaelyn. And from that day forward, Render Ray swore never again to betray her comrades' trust, to share with them the triumphs and the tragedies, to relinquish the freedom she had once held in the highest. The bravest, most courageous hunter that ever was. That moment would define what she became in life and in death. The sacrifice would hasten the transformation. It was fuel for the ritual to come. The betrayer Silver looked on, yet more satisfied. Is she the one that killed them? That helped them sacrifice themselves to cross over, and she didn't go through with it herself? They were oblivious to her machinations, unaware they were dancing to her tune. The journeys continued, and so must ours, to Ilmeg and Laegia, for Brandon's bit. This castle is exceedingly pretty. I've always liked the way they do stained glass in FF14. Siela. No, that's Eden Minor. So pretty. As beautiful now as it was then. You saw it too, would you not agree? With the death of Balam Quits, the legend of Ardbert and his comrades had grown larger than ever. Thus emboldened, they came to the kingdom of Verbert. Verbert had long been troubled by what some had dubbed a magical plague, innocents found transformed into misshapen fiends that the kingdom's knights had no choice but to put down ere the contagion spread. Brandon had been one such knight. In his youth he had served the Princess Saldia faithfully, only to be cast out for a single mistake. Thus did he take to the road where he met Ardbert and the others. Having grown stronger and wiser and more respected, Brandon felt it was time to return and redeem himself. And with the aid of his comrades he did just that. Tadric, the court mage, was unmasked as the mastermind of Verbert's misery, and by disgraced knight's blade was he brought to justice. But the princess died in the process. But with his dying breath, Tadric cursed the Princess Saldia, sentencing her to a fate worse than death. At her behest did he raise up his blade and for the sake of the kingdom strike down his liege lady. With that single stroke he forever changed. Though nearly not in the way that was necessary. He stood at the precipice and almost forsook his compassion for unflinching judgment, but mercifully turned aside at the last. Thus did he find and embrace true justice, that which weighs law and heart together and strives for the greater good. 'Tis a long difficult road from which many stray, settling for simpler moralities, but expect no less of the man who became Takai Sune. His sacrifice would strengthen the transformation. It was fuel for the ritual to come. As her companions grew ever more powerful, so too did the betrayer Silva. Bit by bit, they brought her closer to her goal. But it was not yet finished. To Calusia they return, and so must we. Tomra and the next chapter of our tale await. Yeah, I'm almost certain that it is her. The question that I have is, what does she want us to do? Is it guilt? She wants us to kill her for her part in this? Or is it going to have some kind of interesting twist? Because clearly she knows far too much. Has there always been a statue of Lamet there? Is that even a statue of Lamet? I don't know. Slowly but surely the adventurers were fulfilling their potential. Word of their deeds in Verbet spread like wildfire, and their legend grew even larger. But for all their success, the fledgling heroes would be forced to endure more hardship and welcome more sacrifice. So Lamet gets exiled. They pressed deeper into the depths of Rak'Tika, towards ancient Ronka. It was there that the dwarf Lamet came to a crossroads, for in claiming the magic she desperately desired, she would be forced to renounce something equally precious. Dwarves are a reclusive lot, wont to withdraw from the outside world that their many traditions might be preserved in isolation. When the Stoneblight began to spread, they chose to lock away the afflicted, and refused to seek outside help. But Lamet would not abide this. She vowed to save her ailing kin, her sister among them, even if it meant violating dwarven law. With her newfound power, she returned and cured the sick, and for this, she was banished by the Council of Elders. This came as no surprise, for she had made her peace with it long before, when she stood in the ancient ruin and called upon forgotten guardians to grant her forbidden knowledge. She knew, then, what the price would be. She had weighed her traditions and identity against the lives of those she loved and made her choice, though it pained her terribly, and in ways only a dwarf could understand. And Hydaelyn, it would seem. Through hardship and sacrifice was a new warrior of light forged, a healer who knew more than any the value of a life and would do anything to see it preserved, even in death. The sacrifice would nearly complete the transformation. It was fuel for the ritual to come. Very soon then, very soon. But Ardbert and his comrades had stumbled upon evidence of the larger design, threads linking together the disparate troubles of the realm. A name spoken only in whispers, the Shadowkeeper, a singular force sowing chaos and discord throughout Northrant to an unknown end. If the Warriors of Light truly wished to save their world, then they would need to confront this villain amongst villains. And at the end of their exhaustive search, at the end of their struggle, who do you think they found waiting to welcome them with open arms? You! I'm sure I speculated way back at the start. Once we first heard the Shadowkeeper's name mentioned, I'm sure I may have mentioned that I thought, oh, well, that was an Ascian. Didn't they defeat an Ascian? Didn't they even say back in 3.4 or whatever it was that the Warriors of Light had defeated the Ascians of their realm? What if she's one? What if she's one of the Ascians who survived? Maybe there was just one who joined them. The answer to that awaits us in Lakeland, our final destination. The villain yet walks amongst us, Demajen, unknown and unpunished. Go on ahead and wait for me at Laxon Loft. There are preparations to which I must first attend. She needs to go and put her armour on. Right. I'm assuming this is the conclusion. The climax, the culmination. And other words beginning with C. Let's see if and how I am right or wrong. She's going to turn up with her armor on. Oh, no. That's the... It is her. But she's wearing the new Phantasmagoria stuff. Oh, Echo Time. So she is the villain. Is she the Shadowkeeper? Is she the Warrior of Darkness? Damn you, Silver. We were comrades in arms, friends. That we were, and that we are. Everything I said, everything I felt, it was all true. You mean the world to me. You're the bloody Shadowkeeper. What the hell was this for? For you, for every one of you, to forge you into heroes worthy of her blessing, that she might choose you as her champions. So she orchestrated. The ruthless mage consumed by the pursuit of power to save his friend no matter the cost, by his sacrifice, a warrior born. A mournful hunter scarred by tragedy, resolved never again to trust in others, by her sacrifice, a warrior born. A disgraced knight who yearned to steal his heart in justice's name, by his sacrifice, a warrior born. A troubled healer, torn between tradition and love, by her sacrifice, a warrior born. And their leader, an adventurer with a heart overflowing with love for his dearest comrades, who must now bring his axe to bear against his own. By his sacrifice, a warrior born. I am the villain you seek, the keeper of shadows from a world shrouded... She's from the void! She's from the 13th. By our struggle, will this world be shattered and its souls saved? So she's not a... She's kind of a warrior of darkness, but she's literally... Silver! Oh, am I going to have to fight? No. I was going to say. So she... Oh, man. But how? How? Saw it all, did you? I thought you might. Mother's gift has a knack for showing us exactly what we need to see, if not what we want to or when. So yeah, she's got the echo. She's chosen. They knew me as Silver, but my real name doesn't matter. Like you, I am not of this world. I crossed the rift and came to the first. My home, the 13th, fell to dark in a calamity that mirrored the one which nearly claimed this world. I was one of several heroes who failed to save it. Like, what's his face? Him. The boy, Unukalai. I have glimpsed him in your memories. He was a friend. Like him, I heeded the words of the Asians, and that I might redress the balance, I chose to come here and hasten a rejoining of worlds. A shard subsumed by dark demands a mirroring of blinding lights. Primordial forces will strive to achieve equilibrium. But there was a solution. A single solution, I believed. Were a flood of light to consume this shard in its entirety, it would be of no use. The Asians made it clear it must be brought to the brink, but no further. The task was difficult, but the plan simple. Souls predisposed to light, fledgling heroes in the making. I'd bring together Ardbert and his comrades and groom them for a higher purpose. So she orchestrated turning them into the Warriors of Light to bring them together to cause the flood. But she did it because she rather stupidly believed that the rejoining was the only way to save the 13th. Can the 13th be saved then? Do the Asians think they have a way? I play the part of comrade and guide their course, all the while labouring in secret to pit stronger and stronger enemies against them, until finally, once they were warriors of light, brave and true, I would reveal myself as a warrior of darkness and extinguish their radiance forever. Thus would this world be primed for a rejoining and the source for a calamity. The Asians, who called themselves Mitron and Logrif, were confident it would succeed, and indeed Ardbert and the others rose to the occasion as I knew they would. It was not to be. I had misjudged Ardbert. His comrades before him had made their sacrifices in turn, and as their mirror I had grown stronger for it. Had he but embraced his role and struck me down, victory would have been mine. But Ardbert, dear Ardbert, would not forsake his heart. In the end, he chose mercy, he chose love, and I was undone. So she knew she had to die for her plan to succeed. The rest, you know. He sought out Mitron and Logrif and granted them what he refused me. They accomplished... Yeah, so he went and killed them. They accomplished everything they set out to achieve. And then the flood came and washed it away. In the wake of my betrayal, I would look on from the shadows and reflect on my many sins as all fell to ruin. Denied death then and now, and perhaps ever after, as a fragment of my essence endures. Yeah, because she's done the same thing that they did. She's died in the 13th. She's just she's in the same kind of position that Thancred and Co are. She's a soul given a semblance of corporeal existence. But then, one day years ago, my fallen comrades rose again as the cardinal virtues. It coincided with the arrival of the first scions, I later realised. A defence against the forces being marshalled to undo my failure. I can but assume the Asians planted the idea in Vorthu's head. They were his creations after all, and with their graves in your Moran territory, it was doubtless a simple matter to have their bodies exhumed and prepared. So Vorthu was responsible for raising the cardinal virtues. I don't think that's ever been mentioned before. Who am I to speak, you may think, when I say this? But when I saw these abominations he had wrought in their image, I was filled with such despair, such anger. I cannot unwrite the past. My soul is stained with blackest sin, and I will not pretend that can ever be otherwise. But this act, this I could not ignore. If the Asians were going to such lengths, then surely others would cross the rift in due time, and so I hatched a plan. I would assume the guise of Siela, and as her take up residence in the Crystarium, where I would take measures to bring together the most ambitious of adventurers, individuals driven by more than mere coin, virtue hunters. That way, when the enemy the Asians feared more than any came to the first, the stage would be set. They would join in the hunter's quest, and together unmake Vorthu's simulacra, and lay their souls to rest once more. And so you did, Demajen. The virtues are no more, but the one ultimately responsible for their creation, the devil who set them on their doomed path, lingers still. You know all there is to know of the heroes who saved this world. The truth I kept hidden in the shadows is yours, and there are no more secrets to share. And so I ask you now to grant me that which Arbut could not. Death. You still have a duty to others. No. Don't do this. Don't you spare me like he did. How can you stand there and say I deserve to live, knowing everything I did, the lives I destroyed, the chaos I wrought? The wardens pale in comparison. Surely there is no greater villain than the Shadowkeeper, but... Siela is again sat in that delicious morally grey situation. Sure, she orchestrated things, but she didn't cause the flood. She feels like she did, if I'm reading this right. And again, this is just off-the-cuff thought. She orchestrated events, but she brought about heroes. Did she do it for the wrong reason? Yes. Did tragedy become because of it? Yes, but is that ultimately her fault and responsibility? Clearly she feels that it is. But it was Ardbert's mercy that actually caused the problems from what I'm gathering. Death is no comfort to the living, which is why you must live to atone for your deeds. Twould be for my own benefit, I cannot deny. And if I'm to indulge you in one final... No. And if I'm to indulge in one final act of selfishness, you'll make me do it myself, won't you? Make me confront the cowardice of it. The ugly truth that I'd rather run away than to seek atonement. Yep. Perhaps. Perhaps I may yet find purpose in preserving my comrade's legacy, in helping others to understand the sacrifices that made them true heroes. For now, I shall return to the Crystarium and continue to assist Glynard while spreading the forgotten tales of the Warriors of Lights. You would have been good friends, you and Ardbert, in another life. Maybe you and I as well. It'd be nice to have just a little scene with Ardbert here. She's from the 13th. So she's the second character from the 13th. There are hints that the Ascians have a way of fixing it. Yet another morally grey character. It'll take some thinking on that just to make sure that I've got stuff right in my head. I tell you, I'm not at all accustomed to wearing armour any longer. Simply moving about in it is enough to tax my strength. And fighting, ugh. Any one of Captain Lena's recruits could probably put me flat on my back. Fortunately, I needn't rely on my sword to spread the truth of my fallen comrades' deeds. Only words and the passage of time will see their legacy redeemed in the eyes of the people. Thank you for accompanying me on my journey of remembrance. May your deeds ever be remembered and celebrated as all heroes deserve. Tales to be told. Living memory. I knew from quite near the offset that there was something a little bit weird about her. But that revelation, the revelation about her being the Shadowkeeper wasn't that ta-da surprise. The revelation that she's from the 13th and her motivations for doing what she did, that was a surprise. That was interesting. Does she still have stuff to say? Welcome to the Wandering Stairs, love. What? What's that look for? I'm still a tavern wench, aren't I? We'll have our parts to play. Tell me about the Shadowkeeper. Why, only the greatest villain of her day, the mysterious architect of countless tragedies all across Northrend, who finally faced justice at the hands of the Warriors of Light. The betrayer whose defeat set in motion events culminating with the Flood of Lights. But you knew that much, didn't you? Before I took that name, I was known by another in the 13th, a shard all but subsumed by darkness. There I met with Ascians who convinced me that the only path to salvation was to embrace the dark and journey unto this world. I had two objectives. One was to raise up heroes, brave and true, worthy champions of the light, Ardbert and the others. I joined them in their journey and shepherd them unto glory. Heroes need enemies to grow stronger, and so I sowed the seeds of discord. From Lakeland to Calusia, from Amarang to Ilmeg, I set in motion events that would forever change the lives of my comrades and countless others. My second objective was contingent on the first. I would confront the adventurers forged by hardship into Warriors of Light and strike them down at the height of their power, ensuring that the delicate imbalance between the primordial forces would be preserved just so. In the end, I failed. Ardbert, Lamet, Brandon, Venderai, Neilbert, these are the names of the villains responsible for the Flood of Light which nearly destroyed our world. Lies and slander, of course. They were as much victims of fate as any of us. They travelled the length and breadth of Northrend, helping those in need, and for their deeds came to be known as heroes. But sometimes all it takes to destroy your reputation is a bad turn. And yet, despite everything that happened, they refused to give up. They cut a deal with the man in white and made one last desperate gamble. But you know that tale better than me, don't you? Yeah, so that was Elidibus. Still tending the bar, cleaning up after drunkards and glittered. If this is the punishment you had in mind, I struggle to fathom a harsher fate. In all seriousness, I've been making an effort to use my spare moments to entertain patrons with stories of the Warriors of Light. The truth, with all the forgotten glories and sordid details. This being a bar, most of the folks lending an ear are all a few drinks deep, so there's no telling how much of it they'll retain or believe for that matter. But I'll keep at it. Stories have a way of spreading. Clearly, a great amount of planning has been put into these role quest storylines. I've always liked the job quests, and I know a lot of people were worried when they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to have role quests now rather than job quests." A lot of people were worried that the stories weren't going to be as involved or interesting. I think this has proved that idea wrong. I've really enjoyed this, and I've especially enjoyed this trip with Siela, Silver, whoever, a traveller from the 13th. I'm wondering, actually, this might be a bit of a stretch, but I wonder if Unukalai, or however you pronounce his name, actually has any new dialogue. He is at the Rising Stones, isn't he? It's been a long time since I've he's in the Solar, or whatever it's called. Yeah, and he's still got the diabolical Bismarck for me. A little bit behind on that. Does he have anything to say about small talk? What would you ask of me? Don't think. Yeah, he's from the Voids. The champions who fought against that among that rune star were corrupted by the captured essence of primals. Doesn't mention. Oh, that's new. He's told that you're going to the first, and like the energies which ravage my home, the star which beckons you is filled with blinding incandescence, yet a flood of light will invite destruction as surely as a maelstrom of darkness. I wonder then how a champion sworn to the light could serve to redress this imbalance. That's new. I hadn't seen that before. Yeah, he's still got 2 quests for me. So yeah, he talks about the Warriors of Darkness on that realm being overcome by the power of primals. But no mention of... Maybe if I've finished... Have I finished the Warring Triad? I think I've done it. I can't remember. Maybe he's got more to say on the matter. I actually have no idea. Either way, that is going to do us. That chair's too small. That's going to do us for this episode. And I think that's actually going to be the final episode in this playlist for quite some time. The only other videos that I have in the works are, you know, the Dancer level 80 quest and stuff. But in terms of the actual story content, that's it until 5.1. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this look at the role quest and the culmination, the climax of that stories. Really, really liked that little twist there. If I might have one particular piece of criticism, it seemed to be over a little bit quickly on the top of the tower. I was expecting a little bit more from Silver/Siela when we said, no, we're not going to offer her death. But at the end of the day, she's had a long time to come to terms with her current existence. So maybe... I mean, she did say that she was being a coward, that she didn't... She was hoping that when we showed up, it would put her out of her misery. And now she knows that we're not going to. Nobody else is going to. It's only us that has the power to do so. So she now has to atone. But yeah, just a little bit. It felt like there needed to be just an extra little beat in that conversation to really hammer home her despair that we weren't going to put her out of her misery, and then we could convince her that it was for her own good that she atones for her crimes. I'd be really interested to see if there will be more with her. Because I've kind of felt like Anukulai, or however you pronounce his name, his story kind of has come to a standstill. And I wonder if Siela's is going to do the same. I wonder if they have more planned. Because there is the hint that the Ascians have got a plan for the Void. Don't know how much is going to come of that. Either way, I'm rambling. Thank you all, folks, very much for watching. I hope that you stick around on the channel for the other videos and other games that I've got in the works. If not, there will be more Final Fantasy content from 14 or possibly other games, depending on how I'm feeling, in the future. So stick around for that. Until next time, thank you for your support. Cheerio.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. Remember to ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, Toodle Pip.